Portable systems have appealed to people who want to game on the go since the Nintendo Game & Watch's heyday, and they've only gotten more powerful over time. However, there's always been a gulf between fully functional computers and simple devices that you can hold in your hand, not to mention the lack of physical controls on smartphones. Still, over the last few years, a cottage industry of handheld Windows PCs has emerged, garnering attention from enthusiasts and retro gaming fans who want as much power as possible in a small, battery-powered, screen and button-equipped package. OneXPlayer is one such company producing these systems, and it offers several Windows-powered handhelds in multiple specs and sizes. We tested the Intel i7-powered OneXPlayer Mini, a beefy, little device with a high-resolution, 7-inch screen and respectable specs. It lacks discrete graphics, but its Intel Iris Xe GPU is surprisingly capable. Although its $1,259 price is steep for the 512GB model we tested, it's in line with other handheld gaming computers and cheap gaming laptops with discrete GPUs. OneXPlayer's handhelds have been go-to devices for certain gaming enthusiasts due to their rare combination of PC system specs and handheld gaming form factor, but the Steam Deck completely throws off that calculus. The OneXPlayer Mini sits squarely between the Nintendo Switch and Steam Deck in size, measuring 4.3 by 10.3 by 1.3 inches HWD, to the Switch's 4 by 9.4 by 0.6 inches and the Steam Deck's 4.6 by 11.7 by 1.9 inches. Weighing 21.8 ounces, the OneXPlayer Mini is quite dense for its size. It's nearly half a pound heavier than the Switch, and less than 2 ounces lighter than the Steam Deck. Its body is plastic, with a matte black finish that feels solid in hand. The OneXPlayer Mini has a conventional control layout, with off-axis dual analog sticks, A/B/X/Y buttons and an Xbox layout, A on the bottom, a standard direction pad, and 2 pairs of shoulder bumpers/triggers. It lacks the Steam Deck's touchpads, but it doesn't place the analog sticks uncomfortably high and parallel with the face buttons and direction pad. The controls feel solid and responsive, similar to the Xbox wireless controller. It can be charged over USB-C through either port on the system, though it's a bit finicky in terms of power demands. The system includes a wall adapter with both a 65W PD USB-C port and a USB-A port, but only the former would provide enough power to charge the device. I found no combination of USB-A wall adapter and cable that kept the handheld powered, so make sure you use a properly beefy PD charger. The OneXPlayer Mini comes with Windows 11 pre-installed, and this is where a few of the system's quirks pop up. When I first booted the handheld, Windows 11 launched flawlessly, except the screen was rotated sideways. This wasn't due to automatic rotation in the OS. On a normal PC, fixing this is a simple keyboard shortcut. However, the OneXPlayer Mini's on-screen keyboard doesn't support those kinds of shortcuts. I had to awkwardly dig into the Windows display settings and manually rotate the desktop, after which the screen worked fine. Fortunately, the touchscreen controls worked flawlessly. The OneXPlayer Mini is a Windows PC, so we ran most of our usual benchmarks and tests. The Steam Deck, on the other hand, isn't a Windows system, so only some of our tests offer directly comparable numbers. With that in mind, we also looked at laptops similarly priced to the OneXPlayer Mini. Starting with PC Mark X, the OneXPlayer achieved an overall score of 5,181 with its full suite of productivity benchmarks, and 1,481 with its storage benchmark. These numbers are a touch behind the Samsung Galaxy Book 2 Pro 360, 5,637 overall, 1,598 storage, but not significantly so. However, they're quite behind the Lenovo Yoga 9i Gen 7, 6,156 overall, 2,240 storage. The portable system lags far behind the Samsung Notebook and Cinebench are 23, though, with a multi-core CPU score of 3,580 to the Galaxy Book 2's 8,703 and the Yoga 9is 9,164. Additionally, Geekbench 5.4.1 Pro failed to load on the system, so we were unable to get results with that benchmark. So, for general productivity, the OneXPlayer Mini might be capable in terms of pure power, but video processing will take ages. Unlike laptops with similar components, this device is very clearly not intended for productivity. It lacks a physical keyboard, its screen is too small, and you'd need a USB-C video adapter to make the desktop large enough to work with comfortably. Obviously, the OneXPlayer Mini's gaming capabilities are far more important than its productivity chops, and in that field the system's performance is resoundingly mediocre. In 3D Mark, the Night Raid benchmark scores 13,016 and the Time Spy benchmark scores 1,498. This is well behind the Galaxy Book 2 Pro 360's respective 16,956 and 1,849 scores, and even further behind the Lenovo Yoga 9i Gen 7's 18,455 and 2,023 numbers. The portable and the notebooks all share the same Intel Iris Xe integrated graphics, but the Core i7-1260p CPU in the Samsung and Lenovo notebooks offers more power than the OneXPlayer's Core i7-1195G7. For direct gaming performance, the OneXPlayer Mini ran both F1 2021 and Rainbow Six Siege. The games were playable, but they didn't impress on the OneXPlayer Mini. F1 2021 ran at 15 frames per second FPS at 1080p, which is well below the Steam Deck's 22 frames per second numbers. Perplexingly, Rainbow Six Siege ran at 38 frames per second at the lowest and highest settings. This could indicate a frame rate cap, but 38 frames per second is a strange cap number. We couldn't run Rainbow Six Siege on the Steam Deck at the time of testing, but the Acer Nitro 5's NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 Ti GPU blows the OneXPlayer Mini out of the water with a 162 frames per second frame rate at ultra quality. Benchmark qualms aside, the OneXPlayer Mini can run relatively recent PC games. No Man's Sky runs at 30 to 40 frames per second with native resolution and the lowest graphical settings. It chugs along at 20 frames per second with high graphical settings. It handheld works, but only about as well as you can expect from integrated graphics. Monster Hunter Rise performs well enough on the OneXPlayer Mini. At its lowest graphical settings, the game runs at a consistent 60 frames per second. That drops to around 45 frames per second at average settings, and a churning sub-30 FPS at the highest settings. In short, you'll enjoy playing Monster Hunter Rise on the OneXPlayer Mini, but the system's performance trails the Steam Deck's. It maintains 60 frames per second at average settings on Valve's device. As a retro emulation handheld, the OneXPlayer Mini is more than qualified. GameCube games played on the Dolphin emulator at 3x resolution, 1920 by 1584 for a 1080p screen, ran at a rock-solid 60 frames per second. You can expect to see similar performance on the aforementioned laptops, but the OneXPlayer Mini still topped the Steam Deck and its 60 FPS with hiccups 2x Dolphin rendering. There's enough power in this handheld to run classic games from at least the mid-aughts. We test the laptop's battery life by playing a locally stored 720p video file with display brightness at 50% and audio volume at 100% in airplane mode from full battery power until shut down. The OneXPlayer Mini lasted 5 hours, 44 minutes under these conditions. This is low for mid-range laptops. The Lenovo Yoga i9 Gen 7 lasted 14 hours, 53 minutes in testing, though the discrete GPU-equipped MSI Katana GF66 lasted only 4 hours, 15 minutes, but it seems typical for handheld gaming systems. The Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch OLED Edition can last up to 8 and 7 hours, respectively. Naturally, playing graphics-intensive 3D games drains the battery much faster than watching video content or playing simple, sprite-based games. It's clear why devices like the OneXPlayer Mini have become a darling of PC gamers and retro game fans. It's a fully functional Windows PC with solid mid-range specs. Although its integrated graphics processor doesn't offer a consistently smooth gaming experience for more recent PC games, it's more than enough power for retro gaming extending at least into the 6th console generation. These specs and this form factor are rare, which made the OneXPlayer Mini an appealing handheld despite its price. If you want to play a ton of games, including a strong handful of classics, with an even easier interface, the $300 Nintendo Switch, $350 for the superior OLED version, and $200 Switch Lite are both smaller, lighter, and less expensive than either the OneXPlayer Mini or Steam Deck. You can't run your own software on them or turn them into emulation machines without a lot of risky work involving custom firmware, but they're excellent in their own right. So, the OneXPlayer Mini is a Windows 11 computer in a portable game system's body, and it has lots of potential for hacking, retro gaming, and other activities. However, the Steam Deck undercuts its hefty price by too much to make it really appealing.